which represents a number of South Africa's leading medium to large manufacturing companies. According to the report, domestic demand was weak due to sluggish construction activity, high competition for cheap imports, as well as reduced mining sector demand. It also identified a major trend that South Africa is increasingly facing competition from neighbouring countries in sub-Saharan Africa. The report was released at the inaugural Manufacturing Indaba, which is currently taking place in Johannesburg. Well, to discuss the state of manufacturing, I'm now joined by the CEO of the Steel and Engineering Industries Federation, SEIFSA, that's Kaizer Nyatsumba, as well as the chief economist of Arcelor Mittal, Chifipa Mhango. Thank you both for joining me, gentlemen. I want to start with just the state of manufacturing. There's energy problems, infrastructure problems at the ports. Looking at this report, we're also facing competition not only from China, but from our neighbours in Africa. So let me ask you both, starting with you, Chifipa, is there a future for manufacturing in South Africa, or is there huge pressure right now?
The future for the manufacturing sector is there, and it remains one of the key sectors in terms of the growth patterns for the South African economy. I think what is important is to address the key challenges that are facing the manufacturing sector, and this is where the Manufacturing Indaba comes into place. What we are trying to do there to look at the key challenges that are facing what we are facing, which I think you have outlined earlier on. Then the question is to say, how do we unpack the solutions to make sure we address these concerns? There are a whole lot of concerns that we are facing at this stage. The cheap imports that are coming, there's a way to addressing those cheap imports that are coming to the country. The issues of energies, I think there are some lessons we can learn from other countries, how they have done that in terms of addressing the energy challenges that the countries are facing. And I think also on the point of view of skills, which is one of the key areas where we're seeing a gap. I think that is not only a government issue, but it's also an issue where the industry can also address it. And I think as industry, we are playing our part to make sure we address those challenges. And it's an effort which both the industry and government can play a role to addressing those challenges.
Kaizer, can an Indaba help? We're talking about cheap imports. Somebody pointed out today that in fact at the Indaba there were packets from China.
Well, I think let me say first of all that there certainly is a future for manufacturing. There isn't a country in the world whose economy can strive over an indefinite period and do well without a very sound manufacturing base. It is unfortunate that in the country post-1994 we have lost a lot of skills in the manufacturing sector. South Africa used to be very advanced. There were very many things that are technologically advanced that were manufactured in this country. Some of those skills, because of its economies of scale, because of the influx of imports, have since been lost. I am delighted that there would appear to be a recognition on the part of our government that manufacturing is quite critical. And that is why the Department of Trade and Industry has come up with various initiatives, the Manufacturing Competitive Enhancement Framework that has been put in place. There are various incentives that were announced by Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan during his budget vote speech, and President Mbeki spoke about it as well. So yes, there definitely is a future for manufacturing, and we need that as a country. The situation, what you're talking about, did unfortunately happen, that the bags that were distributed were imported from China.
Was that openly discussed today?
Well, it was not discussed. It was a point that was raised by one of the panelists on the panel on which I served, who indicated that the bag did come from China. The organizers did not, unfortunately, address that particular issue. It was an unfortunate issue because we've got to encourage a situation where there's a higher level of manufacturing in South Africa. That way more jobs are created. The economy is stimulated. There is more paid to government by way of corporate taxes and personal taxes. And we need to ensure that we patronize South African businesses.
Chifipa, is what Kaizer is saying is correct, that government's really helping? Because sometimes it looks like they're going in opposite directions. So the Department of Trade and Industry is supporting factories, supporting manufacturers. The NDP, I think, fundamentally recognizes that we're uncompetitive, that we have problems with productivity, and it's talking about innovative goods rather than sort of cheap goods made in factories. Does our industrial policy work?
I think ways the industrial policy plays a key role in this regard is to look at the local procurement accord, which was signed by government as well as the business players into contention here. So it's a key policy which can assist to support the local manufacturers at this stage. There are so many projects which government is engaged in, big capital projects, by state-owned institutions such as ESCOM and Transnet. What needs to happen is to ensure in the area where there's a chance for participation of local companies, that is where the projects must actually be able to secure those particular products from the local manufacturers. That remains key. Currently, while the issues are being addressed, but I think that the utilization of local products in those particular areas, I think it remains a big challenge at this stage. For various reasons, obviously, government or state-owned institutions will have their role in terms of trying to identify the right suppliers. But I think where there is a situation where the local suppliers can actually be able to participate, that is a key area, I think, where government can actually utilize the industrial policy to ensure.
And government has to lead there. Kaizer, let me come to you because I'm really interested in a discussion you had today, which was about communication between government and business. What emerged from that?
Well, it was really about the extent to which there is or isn't a partnership between the business community in South Africa and our government. My view in that presentation was that the relationship is not as healthy as it should be. Indeed, in the past 5 years, we've seen a situation where there have been attempts at times to portray business as an enemy to government when it isn't. You cannot in any country have advancement taking place where the economy does much better than our economy is doing. Our economy has been seriously underperforming over the past 5 years, but not just over the past 5 years, over the past 5 years for a number of reasons. The global recession, among others, it has been underperforming. But there has been a certain degree of hostility towards business, while we have seen in the Mandela era a situation where there's a reaching out to business, and in the Mbeki era a situation where there was an international advisory committee to the president that advised him on at least twice a year on business-related matters on how to steer the economy. We haven't seen such efforts made. Indeed, we've seen efforts that have sought to undermine the effectiveness of the apex business body, BUSA, in South Africa. And so therefore we are saying that there needs to be an acknowledgement that a partnership is vital between government and business. The government has got to reach out to business, and business also has to ensure that it serves as a constructive partner to business. We can't have a situation where these two vital stakeholders are not working cooperatively together.
All right, I wish we could continue chatting. Thank you, both gentlemen. That was Kaizer Nyatsumba, CEO of the Steel and Engineering Industries Federation and Chief Economist of Arcelor Mittal, Chifipa Mhango.